How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. We are right on time for all of our listeners. So catch us up. Tell us who you are. Tell us your superpower and bring us the heat. What you got?
Awesome. Will do. My name's Alexis Rankin. I am the assistant team lead in the Boise, Idaho, Keller Williams Market Center.
Yes, you are. And with Stacy States, right?
Yes, with Stacy States as our TL.
She's a team leader. So superpower, walk us through this. I mean, you bring some real energy, and I wanted to hear what from your mouth what you feel your superpower is.
Sure. I mean, I definitely had to rack my brain a little bit on this. I wasn't sure exactly in which direction to take it, but then I realized my superpower has to definitely be that I never shy away from the fear of failure or a challenge. I definitely am somebody who just likes to jump right in, maybe without thinking through it a little bit too much, which is a blessing and a curse. But I definitely would say my superpower has to be I have zero fear of failure, and I'm always failing forward and taking on new challenges.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's perfect. So walk us through where we are right now, right? So you're in Idaho, correct?
Correct.
Excellent. Is it still snowing there?
God, no. Thank goodness, no.
So walk us through, we're in a different world right now. We're in a different environment.
Right.
And as an assistant team leader, as the VP of growth for your market center, you're a leader. You have to stay in a leadership mindset. So what are you doing related to staying in that mindset for yourself as an authentic leader and then for showing up for your people?
Absolutely. I'm on a personal level, and we get into this on the day-to-day activities a little bit later. But for me, I need to have clarity in my mind. And for me, that starts with exercise. So I've been doing that every day, and it's been a huge blessing. For me, especially, I've been reading a lot more leadership books, in particular mindset books, and getting into that space. I've also been taking a little bit of time and really getting invested into what our value proposition is at Keller Williams. Taking on things that I wasn't really too familiar with. Luckily, I've had the opportunity to work with Keller Mortgage on my own personal transactions, so I'm very familiar with some of that value, which is huge. If you aren't aware on the call that it is absolutely huge, take the time to learn about it right now. But even today, Keller Covered. I'm a little unfamiliar with Keller Covered and everything it has to offer. And so I'm diving into some of those things, whether it's Command or Keller Covered, and I'm getting really familiar so that I can have these retention calls with my agents to express and remind them of the value at a really high level.
Got it. So you're diving in more from a learning standpoint, so you can be this thought leader for people and go back out to them and say, hey, listen, if you're considering getting out of real estate, now some people might get out of real estate, right? They might not have the pipeline or the lead generation habit, we'll call it, to stay in this. And so you're sharing retention opportunities with them. That's good. And then for yourself, you said that exercise. Walk us through your routine. What's your routine look like?
So what's funny is some people are going to scoff at this because we've all been talking about cutting expenses. I went out and got a Peloton.
Okay.
And it's been my godsend. It was money well spent. For those of you who feel cooped up or are trapped in the house and you really thrive on exercise, I highly, highly recommend. If you're not going to get the Peloton bike, the app is $12.99 a month, and it has an array of different workouts, anywhere from 30 minutes to 90 minutes, whether it's strength training, cycling, indoor running, outdoor running, whatever it may be. You don't need to have the bike. You can go out and get a $200 bike. You can follow along with the app. And it was an investment for me, given a time in which we are cutting expenses, but it's been huge.
Gotcha. That's really good. Yesterday we had, I can't remember which one it was. I think it might have been Terry Foster now, and she said that she runs with no sound, right? Or she exercises or gets into a space with no sound. So I'm not a runner. But for this time being, gym is closed, right? Literally, the gym is right behind my house. I can walk to it. And so it's closed. And so my son, 11-year-old, he's like, Dad, let's go for a run. I'm like, okay, where do you want? I'm thinking he just wants to run to the end of the street. He's like, no, let's go run like 2 or 3 miles. Like, oh my gosh, okay, fine. So we went out and ran. I didn't put headphones on. And that little punk, he kind of kicked my butt in running.
They usually do. Yeah. That's great.
It cleared the head though, right? It got the competitive juices going from my 11-year-old. Okay. So the routine looks like this. So walk us through, give us now give us now this daily new, because again, we're homebound, right? And,
Yeah.
and you're a recruiter and you're a leader.
Right.
So therefore you have to build and you have to retain.
Right.
And you have to keep your mind right and you want to stay physically fit. Walk us through that route. What's your daily routine look like?
Absolutely. I'm not going to shy away from being honest. I'm somebody who stays up probably too late. With all sorts of distractions, and I usually don't turn off very well, but it's a choice for me. It's something I enjoy. So for me, I try to get up between 6 and 6:30. And what I'll do is I'll write in my gratitude journal. I'll take a minute to meditate, even for just 30 seconds to a minute, give gratitude. And then what I'll end up doing is I'll end up going down to my garage, hitting the Peloton and doing a 45-minute workout, whatever that may look like. And then I usually get ready for the day. As much as I'd love to stay in yoga pants, I'm resisting. And so I'm getting ready for the day, and we are on as a leadership every morning at 9 a.m. for our stand-up, which usually when it's in person, it's 8:30. Okay. So, so we're doing that at 9 o'clock. We're all checking.
Who is that? Who's at 9 o'clock? You said leadership. Who is that?
So that's our TL, everybody on our leadership. Right now, I believe we have 11 members on our staff, and it's all of us. And our OP more than likely is on it as well.
Okay. What are you guys covering? Just curious.
So we're covering, it just depends. Monday is more of a mindset piece. Tuesday is technology. So each person on the staff will lead a day, Monday through Friday. And on Wednesdays, we're actually regrouping at 4 o'clock for an hour to have just kind of a midweek regroup to see how the week's going, challenges, agents of concern, and so on and so forth.
That's good. That's really, really good.
Yeah.
And how long are those meetings? 30 minutes?
It really depends. Like today on Tuesdays, we have an after meeting for just the recruiting team, which is several of us, and we stay on, and we were on for an additional hour. So as long as our time permits, we're on, again, masterminding scripts, what's working, how our market share appointments are going, and kind of what we're seeing in the industry right now with Pearson View centers closed, et cetera.
Gotcha. So we just got a question here from Dawn. It looks really good. What are the topics for the Wednesday through Friday?
Yeah, so we've got Monday mindset, Tuesday's technology, Wednesday's a teaching moment, and that's what I lead, whether it's KW teaching or something that's going on in the real estate industry. Thursday is a broker moment typically, and Fridays we actually don't have anything set because usually when we're in person, we do not meet on Friday mornings. That's just something that the staff we decided to do a while back that works well for us. But Fridays right now has just been kind of a regroup.
Gotcha. Very good. Okay, so that's 9 to, let's just call it 10. What happens next?
It depends on what my day looks like. Typically for me, I try to go 3 days a week from 10 to a minimum of noon on lead generation. Okay. I'm a big advocate for cold calling with the proper scripts. It works really well. It's how I've really helped the Market Center grow substantially over the last 2 years. I moved into this area not knowing anybody, and for me, it just was picking up the phone.
A woman after my own heart. Oh, I love to cold call and just talk to people. Okay, let's pause there because I know we're gonna have some questions there. Walk us through that. So it's 10 to 12. You're cold calling. Who are you calling? How do you know? What does that look like? What's your process look like? Are you just picking up the MLS and saying, or your broker metrics and saying, I'm gonna start here, go A through Z? What do you do?
Yeah, right now we're focusing on market share agents who have done a minimum of 3 million in volume and up. That's kind of where we started. The conversations between the 3 to 7 million in production we've noticed are they're very interesting. People seem to not be too worried right now. Realtors in our area are considered essential still, and so it's almost business as usual. And I hate to say that, but it's feels that way for a lot of people. Sure. And so right now, I think it's still a little premature. The $7 million producers and up, the conversation is much more constructive and substantial.
Tell me about that. What does that mean? Like, what are they saying? What is 7 million plus saying?
Yeah, they're more interested in having a conversation about what's working, what's not working, if their business hasn't been affected, providing examples as to what they're doing to maintain the level of production. Where the 3 to 5 mil, or 5, I should say 4.5 million and lower, It's almost like a rush to get off the phone.
They got it all figured out, don't they?
Correct.
That was always my favorite when I would call. Yep, they've got it all figured out. And they have no time for how to get to the next level, do they?
Right, exactly. And that's definitely the conversation that we're seeing.
For sure. So, okay, good. So now we're cold calling. And again, so you are, let me make sure I understand this. You're targeting 3 to 7 and then 7 million plus, and you're finding out that 7 million plus are actually the ones that are looking to have the conversation.
Correct.
Excellent. And in that conversation, they want to know what's working versus what's not working. So would you mind walking through, I know this is off our script, would you mind walking through some of the scripts or some of the questions that maybe you're asking to engage in some of these conversations? I know people would love to hear that.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me. I wish maybe I do. Actually, you know what, I don't. But really, realistically, we're calling them care calls. And we were using the shifting market script. And in our stand-up yesterday morning, as a staff, we kind of decided it sounded disingenuous, only because people are very, very sensitive from what we've realized around what's going on right now. And of course they are, right? Rightfully so. People are losing their lives. There's a lot of unknown. It's terrible. So what we've realized was we have to create a little bit more of our mindset around, instead of a recruiting call, it's a care call. So it's something around like, hi, so-and-so, this is Alexis calling over at Keller Williams Realty Boise. I know there's a lot of uncertainty going on in the market right now. And I just wanted to give you a call and check in. How are you? How's your family doing? And usually they'll obviously answer, or they'll sound surprised because, they're not at my brokerage.
Right.
And then I'll just say, has the economic shift impacted your business at all? Or what are you feeling? And, sometimes they'll say, oh, well, I'm doing great. A lot of the time, that's still what we're hearing, again, being a little bit in our own bubble. And I just say, that is so fantastic. Tell me, what in your world is going so great? I would love the opportunity to share with other agents that are struggling right now, because you would be so surprised that we're having a resounding, feedback from people that are just saying that they're really, really struggling, and you seem to not be. So please just share with me what's going on. And that's kind of the rapport we build from the get-go. And we're looking to we're straying away from booking a lot of meetings right now, because we're getting in front of them via phone. And then we're setting them up on follow-ups to be the point of contact that they remember and they call when they need us, because they will. Right.
So you're not closing for an appointment. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
We feel it out. And we definitely are. I have at least 10 appointments a week.
Wow.
I can't promise you that 50% of them show up, especially right now. And that's what all of us recruiters are seeing. I'm not sure if anybody else out there is feeling the same way. We're having a really high no-show rate. One, I think it's because it's Zoom, and obviously two, because of what's going on in the economy. But yeah, we're setting the appointment if it's appropriate.
So let's transition. Great job. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Let's transition to the actual now recruiting question. What about recruiting brings you massive energy? What about that? Again, it's not every day that we get two cold callers that love to cold call together, and I can share that brings me energy. What does that bring you energy? Tell us about that.
So what brings me energy, and I had to think about this one through for a couple minutes as well before answering. What brings me energy is I love the challenge of somebody saying, I will never come to Keller Williams. Don't call me again. And I'm like, okay, challenge accepted. Fantastic. And then I put them on my follow-up and a drip, and they'll usually unsubscribe to the drip, but then I'll call 3 months later, and I'll call 3 months later. And I get so much energy when they finally say, okay, whether it's, oh my God, you've beat me down, I will meet with you. Or, something has changed in my business, and believe it or not, I do want to meet with you. Yeah. That brings me so much energy on the calling side. And then obviously closing them to come to Keller Williams, there's a boost of energy. But what brings me the most through the whole process is seeing somebody go from, no, I think I know what Keller Williams is about, and I'm not your type of people, or whatever we hear, right? And then seeing them double, quadruple, or triple, or whatever it might be, their business.
Yeah.
That's huge for me.
That's powerful. Yeah. Watching someone come in, and after the pushbacks and the pushbacks and the pushbacks, right? I had a guy one time who was a cold call, and no. And eventually he joined, and he stood in my doorway of my office, and he had his eyes welled up with tears. And I said, I know what that is. I know why you have that. You have nearly 6 figures in the bank now, don't you?
Right.
And his eyes were like this. And he's like, well, how did you know? I said, because I signed all the checks, first of all. And congratulations, because you kind of finally got to your potential, right?
Right.
Okay, good. So keep going now. That brings you energy. You have this focus of, as I was taught maybe as well, you follow up until they die.
Yep.
And that's the only time you stop following up. And now you're going to go talk to somebody that maybe has a little reluctance in recruiting right now. What would you say to that individual, period? What would you say?
So I love this question because this was me at the beginning of all of this. I was thinking, how are we going to do this? And I was getting so much pushback, probably because I was beginning with the lower producers. We have over, I believe it's now over 6,000 licensed agents in our market.
Wow.
And immediate market here in Boise, Idaho area. And so I started with a big list of I think it was over 3,000 in a call list. And I started with those $1 million producers, and I was just getting beat up left and right. And the minute, again, that I changed it to the focus on higher producers, it all changed for me. So I struggled with this in the beginning of everything. So what I would love to tell anybody who's struggling like I was I shifted my mindset around mind share versus market share. And really just gathering as many people, having as many phone calls as you can right now. That may not lead to an immediate appointment, but you may be able to get in front of them in the next 30 or 60 days and stay in front of them within that amount of time, right? Just an initial call, seeing how they're doing, see what you can do to help. Come from, again, care, and then setting up an email campaign or a drip campaign, whether it's email, text, phone call, and all of the in between, set them up on that. And what we've also done is really start hitting social media, targeted media posts through command campaigns, etc., to, again, stay in front of them even more. And I know that we're going to see a huge boom in all the work that we're doing now in the next 30 to 60 days, because the market will shift. From what Gary's told us, the economy is not going to be in a good place. The unemployment rate is going to skyrocket. And these people are going to want a change, because who do they always blame first? Their brokerage. So, right. So as long as we're doing a good job with our own agents and keeping them retained and happy and helping them, the next focus is, okay, who else can we go and help? And I changed my mindset around that. As a high D, I wanted immediate results, and you're just not going to get that right now.
Yep. So if someone's being reluctant, you're going to tell them to change their mindset. And I wrote the word care real big.
Absolutely.
Several ways of contribution and understand. We heard yesterday, I think it was Lucas asked the question, what can I do to make your life easier? And I thought that was a really, really good script to hear. Great. So, okay, we've told them to care. And maybe they're still a little reluctant to pick up the phone because they just don't like, come on, let's be honest here. We've got nearly 100 people that are listening right now just on Zoom. We probably got another 100 people on Facebook that maybe just don't like the thought of being rejected. What would you say to someone like that?
Oh, but that's life. That's life. That's okay, because you can't have success without rejection, right? You can't have success without failure. We're going to get rejected. And maybe that's a blessing for somebody like you and I who don't mind a cold call. We like to cold call. It's part of the role. And yes, it does get overwhelmingly frustrated when all you're getting is rejection, because there's been periods where I'm like, is it me? Is it the universe? What is happening?
Right.
But, it's going to happen. And I think the minute that you just say, you know what? Okay, this is just part of it. It's just like part of anything, right? The minute you accept it is the minute it doesn't become a burden.
Write that down. The minute you accept it is the minute it doesn't become a burden. That was really, really good. I always went to the stories in my head, right? So if I got hung up on, well, their phone just got disconnected. That stinks for them. Right. If someone said something that, was maybe a little profane, I thought, whatever. They've got condition,
Yeah. If you want a funny, real quick, personal rejection story from work recently, that what I experienced was I decided I was going to do 2 mass texts, one to a flat fee company in our area who's been gathering quite a bit of market share over the last 2 years rapidly. And for those of you who on the call who don't know, in Boise, Idaho, we are surrounded by flat fee, $500 per transactions or less companies. Those are our main competitors. And so they came into the picture not too long ago. They're taking a lot of market share. And then another franchise, if you will, that we are way, way lower and provide way more value. Well, I decided to do a very assertive, if you will, just text message that just says, I care about you. These are uncertain times. I want to talk to you because we can not only save you money, but we provide value. When's a good time to meet? And putting it loosely. And the amount of rejection, I mean, people were so upset. I mean, I had brokers texting me and I had agents texting me, how dare you use the uncertainty of this market for your recruiting? And I mean, all day for 3 days straight, just badgering. So it's going to happen, right? Sure. And for those 3 days, I was like, oh God, this is exhausting. But I woke up on the fourth day and was like, you know what? Bad publicity is still publicity. Yeah. So there are times where it's not like I did anything wrong or said anything rude or anything like that. But, some people aren't going to take it well. And that's okay.
Sure.
They're just not ready yet.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Good answer. I like that. Okay. So we're at our 20-minute mark. Here's what I want to do. And share with us your 3 action items for our listeners to go take action on right now, either in the leadership space or in the recruiting space. What would you suggest?
Perfect. And I'll wrap it up quickly. I would start with, if you're not doing it already, start with Zoom calls for your agents' classes, transition all of those to classes. And once you've done that, create a new class with panelists of your agents who have thrived through a shift before. We've seen huge success with that. A lot of attendees are signing up for our classes where we have 3 or 4 of our top agents who have experienced shifting markets. And we're going to talk about that and interview them and go through that type of a class. It's huge, success. Okay. Create follow-up touch campaigns if you haven't already with recruits, whether you've met them or you have not met them. Have a touch campaign and get in front of these people now as many times as possible. It's what we teach our agents. It's what we need to be doing. And again, this is something technical to Command, create brand awareness campaigns in Command and run them for a minimal $30 to $50. We just did one for $50. And it got over 17 different leads. Wow. For brand awareness. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Good. So Zoom calls or Zoom classes for people. Yep. I put panelists of shift survivors.
Correct.
Right? Yep. Okay. And then brand awareness with some marketing dollars inside of Command.
Correct.
Was that 2 or is that 3?
And then the third one would be create touch campaigns in whatever CRM you're using. If not Command, you can always create a touch campaign and put your MLS on these touch campaigns at minimum of 2 touches a month, whether it's 1 email, 1 auto text, and then, quarterly call reminders. We have everyone in the MLS set up on that.
Awesome. So where can people go to find you? Well, number one, before we get there, is there a way that you can share some of those scripts with us? Not right now, but you can share them with me and they can go to iloverecruiting.com and they can put their name and we can give them that. Would you be okay with that?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, great. And where can our people go find you and follow you and like your stuff and listen and learn from you?
Sure. Alexis Rankin on Facebook, RANKIN, or you can always email me or contact me at alexis@kwboise.com. And you can find me on Instagram. I don't post a ton of business related on Instagram, but Alexis.Rankin_.
Gotcha. Perfect. Yep. It's a mouthful, right? That's good. Well, thank you for your time, Alexis. This has been fantastic. I look forward to those scripts and I know our listeners will love to have those scripts. I took a whole page of notes here, so this has been fantastic. And tell Stacy we said hi and
will do.
On recruiting.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Take care.
See you. Bye.